Welcome back to Urban Legends Across the U.S. Today our journey takes us to Wisconsin, known for cheese, lumber, and beer. In fact, the headquarters for Miller Brewing Company is in Wisconsin. Maybe that's why people see some crazy stuff. But I guess you guys will decide that, as quite a few of these were based from real-life stories. Enjoy. Siren Bridge. One day, a family was driving home over the Siren Bridge when they crashed and the car went through the guardrails, resulting in everyone in the car drowning before help could get there. Many motorists who have driven through the area report hearing screaming for help. But the creepiest part is that sometimes people hear a child's voice over the radio saying, "Mommy, help me. I can't get out." Bodega Brew Pub. La Crosse, Wisconsin is home to a 100-year-old bar called the Bodega Brew Pub. The building has seen its share of drama over the century it's been in business. The previous owner, Paul Malin, committed suicide at the bar in 1901, and his spirit has haunted the place ever since. Checking on his business in the afterlife and making sure things are running smoothly? Well, how does he do this? Apparently by scaring people, floating around in his ghostly form, and tapping people on the shoulder. People turn around only to see that no one is there. Apparently he also makes spooky noises as well. And there's also a lady ghost. One employee heard the sound of women's heels on the wooden floors and voices after closing, when she was the only one in the building. The Highway 12 Hitchhiker. Highway 12 has a resident hitchhiker known as the Phantom of Ridgeway. It's hard to describe the Phantom of Ridgeway, since he is supposedly a shape-shifting ghost who appears in many different forms, but always creepy forms. Sometimes he's seen as a pig or a dog, or a man with a whip, and even a ball of fire. Some people have reported seeing a hitchhiker in a tattered green army jacket. When people pass him and look back in their rearview mirror, the man is gone. No one has ever actually picked this man up, but he remains on the side of the road, waiting for a ride. The one thing that all of these encounters have in common is the fact that they all took place on the same road. Some people claim that local pranksters are responsible for keeping the legend alive, but others who have been party to an unexplained encounter beg to differ. The Bloody Headstone at Riverside Cemetery. Riverside Cemetery in Appleton, Wisconsin is a little creepier than most cemeteries at night because it has a tombstone that bleeds. The grave belongs to the appropriately named Kate Blood. Legend says she was an adulteress, a witch, and a child killer from the 19th century. And some even say she was killed by her husband. But rather than haunt him, her ghost stayed in the cemetery. The stigma around Kate Blood is completely unwarranted, and many people in the town have made it their mission to clear her name. The real truth is that when Kate Blood was 23, she contracted tuberculosis and traveled to be with family. She died soon after, and the community that she had lived in quite adored her, actually, and they were very sad about her passing. She left behind a husband and a 2-year-old daughter. He remarried, and his second wife is buried right next to Kate. Even though the real story about her paints a less scary vision, visitors at the cemetery still claim the area around her grave is suspiciously warm, and they've even reported seeing her dark-robed ghost flitting around, and, on the night of a full moon, a reddish liquid can be seen seeping from her headstone. The Hodag. The Hodag is a Rhinelander town legend that started in 1893 when early settlers came across a lizard-like beast found in the northern area of the state, usually around the city of Rhinelander, hence the name. The Hodag has a long tail with spears on it, a frog's head with an elephant's face, sharp claws, short and stumpy legs, and the back of a dinosaur. Apparently, its diet consists of white bulldogs. The Hodag is reported to be extinct as the last one was captured and dynamited to death in the 1890s. Apparently, they are elusive, so there may still be other Hodags out there. Honestly, the picture makes it look like a really bad Halloween costume that someone got for their dog from Wish. The Antigo alien encounters. Strange lights were seen in the sky several days prior to November 17, 1974. A woman, Mrs. H., was working in a local bar when an unusually short man appeared. She described him as bouncing on his way in and mentioned his burlap jacket and creepy white teeth. She believed he was an alien because of his odd behavior and the way that he insisted the lights she and others had seen in the sky were caused by a meteor. After asserting this several times, he walked out of the bar and vanished into the night. April 1976. It all began when Police Chief George Wheeler, out on an evening's patrol, noticed an orange glow near the quarry at Tuttle Hill. "Looks like we got a fire out there," he radioed in. "I'm going in to investigate." When he drove to the crest of County Road P, he was high up enough to have an unobstructed view. To the north, over a flat hilltop alfalfa field, there it was. "My God, it's one of those UFOs again." He shouted this into the police radio, but when he started to describe the craft, he was very calm and under control. "It's huge," he explained over the radio to Chief Helmer's wife, Gail, who was working as a dispatcher that night. "It's bigger than a 2-story house." He went on that it was silver-colored, perhaps 250 feet across, and that a bright orange beam glowed from its domed roof. The light was so powerful he couldn't look at it. It hurt his eyes. Just as he was describing this light, the craft started to rise, and that was when he heard the loud whooshing noise. And before he realized what was happening, a blue ray shot out of the craft and hit the squad car. The police radio instantly went dead. The chief's wife was yelling on the other end, "George, can you hear me? Are you all right?" George couldn't hear her. The lights were out, and Officer Wheeler was unconscious. A dairy farmer that was driving the babysitter home noticed the squad car with its lights off sitting in the middle of the road. He went to investigate, looked inside and saw George Wheeler sprawled across the front seat. Asked if the officer was okay. The officer didn't move. Finally, he leaned forward from his seat. He had no strength. He looked white as milk. "What's wrong, George?" Finally answering, George said, "I've been hit. Get me to a radio." "By a car?" "No," he said. "By one of those UFOs." University of Wisconsin mass murder. So legend goes, a famous psychic predicted on a talk show that there would be a mass murder at the university, resulting in 12 students dying. This was right around Halloween, and students freaked out, and hardly anyone came out to party. Well, some students didn't take the prediction seriously. The party went well, but in the morning, 12 students were discovered to have been brutally murdered. When researching this, you'll find that this has been debunked. However, on May 25th of 1968, an 18-year-old Christine Rothschild was headed to her dorm room at the University of Wisconsin when she was brutally murdered. As one family that was out on a Sunday drive, having traveled over an hour away from their home, drifted past the gargantuan physics building known as Sterling Hall. The small boy in the back seat made a passing comment about a mannequin discarded in the grass near a hedgerow. Unfortunately, this was the body of Christine. Christine's best friend, Linda, also a student on campus, knew who the killer was. The police ignored her pleas, and he got away with it. One of the worst parts of this story is that Christine actually thought she had been being stalked before she was found murdered, and ironically, the police first on the scene of her murder were the same ones she went to about this problem 4 days before she died. Her death remains unsolved. The Jogging Woman on Vine Street. Eau Claire, Wisconsin is home to a small dead end reportedly haunted by the ghost of a jogging woman. She appears in the road, darts out between parked cars, and then vanishes without a trace. When drivers check their rearview mirrors, she disappears. A woman reportedly died there after being hit by a drunk driver on September 13, 1986, and her ghost haunts the roads, even in cold weather. Rumor has it that every single night in September, you can see a woman running on the sidewalk, and when your car is about to pass her, she turns toward you and throws herself at the vehicle. And when you look back, she disappears. Paradise Road. Located in Jefferson, Wisconsin, this road is a hotspot for high school students on weekends. According to legend, 3 sisters once lived in a house on Paradise Road. They were accused of witchcraft and subsequently hanged from trees on their property. People say when you go there, footsteps seem to follow you everywhere. The woods get super dark at night. Paradise Road gets even creepier with short-robed figures running around in the woods. And some people have heard screaming coming from the deep dark woods. If you dare drive down this road, stay out of the woods. Boy Scout Lane. Legend says, sometime in the 50s or 60s, an entire group of Boy Scouts were killed on Boy Scout Lane by either their bus driver or their troop leader. In other accounts, one of the boys drops a lantern, causing a forest fire that kills all of them. Other variations of the story exist, including one in which the scouts are killed after their bus crashes or accidentally catches fire. There's also a version in which the scouts vanish without explanation and are never found. In some versions of the legend, 2 Boy Scouts escaped the fate of the rest of the troop and tried to find help, only to become lost in the woods, where they die of starvation or exposure. In most variations of the legend, it is said that the dead scouts haunt the forest where they died and can be heard hiking through the undergrowth. Visitors report a strong sense of foreboding or being watched. The sound of footsteps or breaking branches coming from multiple directions. Red or white lights, sometimes described as resembling swinging lanterns or flashlight beams. Many people who have visited the area report seeing childlike handprints on vehicles. You know, while researching Wisconsin urban legends, I find it strange that not one of them came from the Miller Brewing Company. Maybe it depends on how many beers you've had. I personally volunteer as tribute to test out that theory. If you have a story you would like to see featured here, please email me at duchessdark676@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. See you next time.